This is the Highland Sabo 2.0 electric commuter bike. It's only $8.99, and what you get for that money is an aluminum frame hardtail with a front suspension, mechanical disc brakes, a lithium-ion battery pack, a rear hub drive 350-watt motor with 27.5-inch wheels. Let's take a closer look. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing a review on an e-bike called the Highland. I believe this one's actually called the Sabo 2.0. It's not actually written anywhere on the frame, but I checked it out online and the official name is the Sabo 2.0, as you could see right there. So Sabo, S-A-B-O 2.0 electric commuter bike. $8.99. So I guess normally it's MSRP of $1,000, but at the time I'm making this video, it is selling for $899.99. So that's a pretty good deal for what you get. In general, this is a commuter bike. This is not a mountain bike, even though it kind of looks like a mountain bike. It is a hardtail front suspension commuter bike, and you can tell because right off the bat, the tires are street biased, meaning they don't have the big fat knobbies. A lot of times the mountain bikes will have, much bigger than 2-inch tires. So these are actually not a brand I'm familiar with. These tires are Chow Yang, is what it says there. I've never heard of those tires, but again, they're designed for commuting, right? Let's get into the heart of all e-bikes. So this e-bike has a hub drive in the back. So if you don't know, these hub drives are very reliable, and they're not that expensive for the companies to make, because there's a lot less engineering going on in there versus, like, say, a mid-drive that has a lot of proprietary welding and engineering that goes into the frame. These hub drives, they're pretty much what a lot of the affordable e-bikes are using nowadays. This is a 350 watt hub drive. It is paired with a 36 volt 10.4 amp hour integrated battery. It's actually integrated into the frame, which is nice. Keeps it nice and sleek looking, and there is a little bit of protection going on there too, that the batteries are inside the frame versus just bolted on to the top of the down tube there. I've been riding this bike now for a little while, and I can tell you it definitely would be a decent option for a commuter. So if you're using this for a work bike, or if you're going to school, I think this would be a decent option, especially at the $8.99 price point. It gets the job done. It'll get you there. You're not going to be winning any races, but it'll get you up to about 20 miles per hour, give or take, which is nice. Especially if you have some hills. This will help you get up over those hills, and then also too, this will help you get to where you're going without being all sweaty when you get there, because you have that motor assisting you. It does have a throttle, so right there on the left hand side. I don't know why a lot of these companies put throttles on the left hand side. I like them on the right, kind of like a motorcycle, but it is what it is. A lot of times with these bike companies, it's just very common for them to put the throttle on the left for some reason. Probably because there's a shifter over here, and that takes up a lot of space. But there are bikes out there that do put them on the right-hand side, so it's not impossible. The wheel set is 27.5-inch wheels. So that's pretty much standard for the industry. I don't know if they're double-walled or not. I doubt it, because this is a budget bike. But they look serviceable enough to get the job done. The brakes are mechanical disc brakes, front and rear. 160 millimeters in the front, and it looks like 160 millimeters in the back as well. So you pull on that lever and it'll stop you, especially if you use both at the same time. It does have quick release hubs, so you can take these off fairly quick. If you're going to put it in the back of your vehicle, you can take the front wheel off and kind of reduce the size so you can load it easily. And they do come off pretty quick. The front suspension is a spring fork suspension. And there's no branding on it, so I don't know who makes these forks. It's probably from Highland. It does have a lockout. So right here, if you want to make this into a rigid, basically a rigid frame bike, you can lock this out. And that does come in handy when you're going uphill and you start standing up and, you know, really pedaling hard on those pedals. Sometimes the suspension will kind of take away from your efficiency. So if you can lock it out, that does help going uphill. And then when you get to the top, you can unlock it. There is no headlight on here, but they do give you a clamp-on battery-powered headlight. So this is the kind where you just strap it onto your handlebars there, hit the button, it turns on, hit it again, it'll go high, it'll go low, and it'll go into strobe. I don't know why you'd want strobe as a headlight, but that's what it does. Let's talk about the drivetrain here. So it does have the Shimano 7-speed. They call it the SIS Index. This is very common on budget bikes. You see it a lot. I've seen these all over the place. So basically a thumb shifter. You have to bring your thumb up over the top of the bar to actuate up or down. Again, very common with a budget bike. The cables are nicely ran through the frame, so they're not sticking out all over the place. Very clean looking frame. Then the cables come out on the bottom. And there is your 7-speed derailleur and your cassette in the back. This one's branded Tourney, which is a budget set from Shimano. Again, serviceable. It gets the job done. I just went on a family bike ride with this thing and did really well. That's how you make your adjustments. So this does use a basically a cadence sensor setup. So it'll basically monitor how fast you're turning your sprocket there. Actually, it doesn't even monitor the speed. It just monitors the fact that you're turning. Once it senses that it's turning, whatever you have the controller set to, it'll go to that set speed. So if you have it set to 1, once the pedals start moving about 1 rotation, the motor will kick in. Sometimes it's a half a rotation, but the motor will kick in and just go right to that first setting or the second setting or all the way up to 5 different speed settings. So that's where you save some money, because sometimes these bike companies will put cadence sensors and torque sensors, and that's where the price starts going up. So this is just your basic cadence sensor, essentially. It senses when the crank is turning. The frame is aluminum, and it says right there, super light aluminum. Actually, it says it in a couple spots, super light aluminum there as well. Right here it says China Bike Engineering. And it comes in, I believe, 2 colors. This one is the blue color, which is a pretty nice looking blue. And there's also like a metallic gray that I've seen on the internet, which is also pretty nice. The stem is a threadless stem setup. I don't know the exact measurements, but it does lean out a little bit. The handlebars are probably, I don't know, I didn't measure it, but the handlebars look like they're about either 650 or 700 millimeters. So decent handlebars. There's enough space on here for all the parts that are clamped onto it. It has some budget grips on here. Again, a lot of times the more expensive bikes will have clamp-on or lock-on grips. These are just slip-on friction grips, and they get the job done. The brakes, like I said, are mechanical, and the levers are aluminum, so that's actually pretty nice. I really hate when companies use plastic levers, so that's nice that these are aluminum. There's another look at the mechanical disc brakes again. Pretty standard on budget bikes. but they are also really easy to maintain. That is actually the big upside to going with mechanical disc brakes. A lot of guys will get all snobby on hydraulic disc brakes versus mechanical, and I get it. Hydraulic disc brakes are better. They're more powerful. It takes less fingers to actuate them, less pressure to actuate them. But on the flip side, I've had hydraulic disc brakes have hydraulic failures where they didn't even work at all because of air bubbles or a leak in the line. So there is that side of hydraulic disc brakes. You have to maintain them, make sure they're good to go. Whereas mechanical disc brakes, it's just levers and springs and wires, and that's it. They will pretty much work all the time for the most part. Could they fail? Yeah, sure they could, but they're pretty reliable. At the end of the day, they're pretty reliable, and you don't have to do a lot of maintenance on them. All right, so let me show you the controller system on here. So it has an LCD screen on the left-hand side, right below the throttle. To turn it on, you'll just hit the M button here. 2 seconds, and it comes right on. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's pretty simple. You have your battery power right there. So it comes in different bars. You have your speedometer here in miles per hour. I'm sure you can switch it to kilometers. Right here on the bottom left, it shows your pedal assist level. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is max. Let's put it back down to 0. You can even go to 0 and just have no motor at all. Here, let's go ahead and take off the protective cover. Ooh, so satisfying. And then over here you have several readings. So you have trip right now, but if you hit the M button, it'll scroll through different readings. So you're on trip, max, odometer, clock, and back to trip. So I like that. It's pretty simple, but very easy and efficient to use. So there's no provisions for a rack, even though this is marketed as a commuter bike. There's no bolts for a rack. Of course, you could buy a universal one that just bolts onto your frame, but there's no setup for a rack, which is actually kind of unfortunate. But again, that's why you're only paying $8.99. It's a budget bike. The pedals are plastic. Again, nothing to write home, but they are serviceable and they do the job. Decent cranks. There's your cadence sensor right there. You can see the wires coming out. I actually like the kickstand on here. The fact that the kickstand is mounted to the frame, nice and sturdy. I've seen some that are clamped on, which I don't like the clamp-ons. This is bolted on, and it's also adjustable. So you can see right there, it's adjustable. So however you want this thing to lean, you can do that, which is a nice feature. I like that, believe it or not. You can also free spin backwards your cranks without hitting your kickstand, which is, again, kind of nice. I like that. So for the battery, on the battery here, you can charge this on the bike. You can put the charger right here and charge it on the bike. I usually charge it in the garage. Or you can put a key in here, unlock it, and bring this battery completely out and take it into your house, put it in your room. And that's actually kind of nice if you're going to park this thing outside. If you're going to bolt this thing outside your school or your job, take the battery with you inside. So for one, the person who might be wanting to steal it will go, oh, there's no battery. That sucks. And it's hard to find the batteries, right? And even if you could find a battery, the batteries are half the price of the bike sometimes. Sometimes these lithium-ion batteries are, $300, $400, $500. I've seen them. They get really expensive. So that's a big cost of the bike, is the batteries. The seat, just your standard little cushion seat, enough to get the job done as well, I keep saying. Adjustable height. They do have a reflector in the back for safety. So pretty nice. All right, guys, so there you go. That's a look at the Highland Sabo 2.0 aluminum commuter e-bike. I was almost going to call it a mountain bike, but it's not a mountain bike. It's a commuter bike. My opinions on this thing after riding this for a couple weeks is I think this is a really good deal for $899, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that don't want to spend $2,000, $3,000, $10,000 on an e-bike. They just want a decent bike that they can use to get to work or get to school and not break the bank. You know, at $899, that's not bad at all, especially when you're considering that you're getting an e-bike with an integrated battery pack and a hub drive. So that's pretty nice. They do have a 1-year warranty, so it's a limited 1-year warranty. Could you get a mid-drive carbon fiber e-bike for $5,000? Yeah, you could, but is that what you need, right? This is overkill for going to work and going to school, right? And parking this out front of your school or your job, right? Somebody's going to steal that thing. I don't care what anyone says. Every lock that's ever been made can be broken into, and that's a $5,000 e-bike. Why buy that when all you need is this, right? $899, guys. And if you want to buy this bike, again, go to the link below, and you'll be able to buy this bike directly from this video. But yeah, that's a look at the Highland Sabo 2.0. All right, guys, take care. Have a good one. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think.